This episode is brought to you by Audible. I'm very open about the fact that I really just do not like to read much, you know what I'm saying? But I still want to get all of the information and the entertainment that's inside of those books. So I turned to audiobooks about 4 or 5 years ago, and it has been, listen, it has been the business ever since, okay? Audible is offering my listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/unicorns talk and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title for free and start listening now. Go to audibletrial.com/unicorns talk to get your free audiobook today. Welcome to Unicorns Talk Podcast, your weekly girl talk about Black women, our healing, and manifestation. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach, and together we're going to live, laugh, and learn to love all of life's little messes. While I am a licensed clinician, please keep in mind that this show is not a substitute for your own relationship with a mental health provider. Let's go. Hey y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 52 of Unicorns Talk Podcast. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, and as usual, I am super duper happy to be here with y'all today. I have been in Germany now for about 3 weeks, and I have to admit, it has been a really rocky start. There's a lot of things that I honestly just didn't anticipate that I was going to have to struggle with, like as I was preparing to come here. And so once I got here and I realized that those were some things that I was going to have to contend with, it threw me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But of course, as you all know, I'm always trying to find the lesson in every experience. And this is no different. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. I mean, it was a lesson that like I already knew. I feel like it's been kind of like a refresher course for me, but we're going to talk about that later on in today's topic. But even though my transition to Germany hasn't been as smooth as I would have liked, there have been some really great things about being here. And so one thing that I didn't realize was going to be like a perk of being here was or has been getting access to international Netflix. So this has been, quite a gem for me. I'm not even going to lie. Netflix is like the only one of my streaming services that actually works out here. So shout out to Netflix for coming through for us, sister, But like my Hulu doesn't work, my Xfinity doesn't work, and I even tried it with VPN, but like they're smart, like they don't even let you use the VPN. Although I heard that there was a VPN out there that it does let you use, but I haven't even had time to put the energy into that. So for right now, I'm just using Netflix. I mean, it's not like I have a whole lot of time to watch stuff anyway, but I do like to watch a little something, like on my iPad or something like that as I lay down or like when I drift off to sleep. And every now and then I'll have like a Netflix and chill night where I kind of give myself permission to relax and to just kind of chill because I'm always doing something. I'm always working on something. And so I've had a chance to check out some really cool international shows and a couple movies also since I've been here, like stuff that I didn't see it on my Netflix when I was in the States or whatever. So I feel like we don't get access to those things, One movie that I absolutely fell in love with is called Been So Long, and it's out of the UK. It stars Michaela Cole, who is the creator and the star, like she's the star of another Netflix show called Chewing Gum. So if y'all are familiar with Chewing Gum, she's like the lead character, which is throwed the fuck off. Now the movie Been So Long, it's really not anything like Chewing Gum at all, It's a urban romance story, and it's about this single mother who meets this guy, but the guy has a past. But as we get into the movie, we start to see that she kind of has a past as well, you know? And so the whole thing is really about taking chances on your life and living life to the fullest and things like that, you know? It's not listed as a musical, but technically, I feel like it could be a musical because there's a lot of random musical numbers sprinkled throughout the movie. But I love musicals, so that wasn't even a problem for me. But it was a little odd, I'm not gonna lie. But it was odd, not in a what the fuck are they doing kind of way. It was odd in like a really intriguing kind of way because I was like, oh, okay, that's different, you know, like that's okay. All right, this is what we doing. We singing right now. All right, I get it. I feel it. But the movie itself was like really, really good, you know. And so Michaela Cole, Cole, I think is how you say her name. But what I really enjoyed about the movie was seeing the diversity of Michaela Cole. Like as an actress, she's a dancer, you know, like she was still funny as hell, but I think that's just like the beauty of who she is. Like she, you know, comedy wise, like she got it, you know, she does. But it was a very interesting movie and I was glad that I had a chance to watch it and just to see what other people culturally are experiencing in the rest of the world. I also got a chance to check out a few other shows. Like I watched this show from South Korea called Hello My Twenties, and it was really really good. You know, so I'm still exploring, you know, but I just wanted to kind of mention that as something that I've gained from my time here in Germany. You know, because I don't want it to be like the whole experience has been negative because it hasn't. And there's been a lot of other positive things that have happened. I've just been trying to figure out these unexpected kind of changes and things that I'm having to make adjustments for. And just, you know, that's just what it is. You know, life happens sometimes. But you know what it really pointed out for me, like these shows and like getting to see what other people experience in terms of entertainment and stuff, is that we don't realize how shut off we are to the rest of the world. Like in America, we don't realize how encapsulated we really are, specifically as it relates to culture, you know? Like specifically as it relates to culture and the expression of culture and the experience of culture, we are, you know, like significantly, I think, shut off from what the rest of the world is experiencing. You know, they make us believe that nobody else in the world can do it as good as the good old, you know, US of A, you know? But the reality is that people are living full, colorful, rich, culturally diverse lives all over the fucking world. Like all over the world. It's not just us. And to be honest, I feel like in a lot of ways they are more culturally diverse, especially nowadays, considering the political climate in America, where everybody, like everything is so polarized, you know, either you're this or you're that. And so I've really enjoyed the experience of these other cultures and you know, really kind of watching how or I think understanding how these different cultures really intertwine with each other has been really, really interesting for me. And so that's my silver lining, I guess, you know, so far anyway. I mean, I'm only 3 weeks in, so hopefully I'll get a lot more silver lining, maybe some silver bullets, you know. I also took my first road trip through across the country. Well, not across the whole country, but you know, I took a little road trip recently here in Germany. And so next week, I'm going to tell y'all about my road trip and I took some video and stuff like that. And so, you know, I'm working with somebody to help me get my social media situation together. You know what I'm saying? Because social media is just not my thing. And I'm very open about that. I feel I try to communicate that to y'all as much as I can. I've been trying to figure out that social media bullshit for a long time, y'all, and it just ain't my thing. So I'm gonna get somebody. I have gotten somebody whose thing it is, and we are working on putting a plan together and getting that situated because I want y'all to talk to me, but I know that I need to be interacting with y'all first, and so I have not been doing that, and I'm working on getting better at that. You did, yeah. Speaking of social media and connecting with me and things. If you have not already, please make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review, please, or anywhere that you're listening right now. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I was looking at my subscribe numbers recently, and I appreciate y'all. My download numbers are up, my subscribe numbers are up. You all are rating and things like that, and I appreciate y'all for that. Tell a friend, let somebody know. I'm gonna do my part. You do yours. I appreciate you. Make sure you use the hashtag Unicorns Talk Pod across all of your social media to let me know that you're listening. Make sure that you share it in your stories and on your timeline and all of that good stuff. Give us a shout out or whatever, because I'm looking forward to growing this thing and talking to y'all more and interacting with y'all more and all of that good stuff. Yes? Yes. Okay. All right. So normally I write a script for not a like word for word script, but like a loosely based kind of script to make sure that I cover everything that I want to cover. But today I kind of just wanted to talk to y'all. Y'all know I do that from time to time. I kind of just wanted to talk to y'all a little bit about some of my own personal experiences. Like I said, when I first got here, I've been here for 3 weeks here in Germany. And it has not been easy, to say the least, and it's been a little bit of a struggle for me to kind of get back on track because there were certain things that are huge things that I didn't even consider would be issues when I came out here, like internet, you know, like internet. I mean, it's freaking Germany. Like, why would the internet be crap? And I don't think it's Germany that has bad internet. I think it's the hotel that I'm staying in. But that still is what I'm dealing with, like what I'm working with. And I think another thing that I've been struggling with is the time change. Jet lag is real, and I've never experienced jet lag before this experience. So that has been very interesting. But then also just trying to keep up with my schedule that I had, like my live stream schedule, and like, doing the IG live on Mondays at 1 o'clock, and like keeping up with my counseling, my online counseling, seeing my clients, making sure that I leave room open to see my clients, but I can't do that until after I get off work. But by the time I get off work, it's a certain time in the States, like it's that time change has been, even though I planned for it before I came out here, I think the reality of it has been a lot different than what I was anticipating, especially because during the time that, I scheduled all of the live stream is supposed to happen at 1 o'clock. Eastern time, right? Well, that's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock p.m. here for me in Germany because it's 6 hours ahead. So 1 p.m. in Eastern time is 6 p.m., 7 p.m. rather, here in Germany. Well, that's the peak hours that people are using Wi-Fi here in my building. And the other places where I can use Wi-Fi are already closed by that time. And so it like the Wi-Fi is pretty much non-existent, not for what I'm trying to do. And so it has been, but if I can't do it earlier because I'm at my job, and I can't do it later because I'm seeing clients and stuff like that. So it's just, I think the reality, as much planning as I did, the reality of it, things are just not falling into place that way for me. And so it was hard. I have been really struggling because, I want this to be successful. I want to do this full time, this being being a creative. I want to do this podcast full time. I want to create mental and emotional wellness videos full time. Like, I want to be a creative full time. And that requires for me to be able to put a certain amount of time and energy into connecting with y'all and into making sure that y'all see my face and making sure that this happens, making sure that that happens. And so it was, I think, what is the word that I'm looking for? I think it was disappointing. It was disappointing for me for sure to have these high hopes and to come out here and things not necessarily turn out or work out the way that I thought that they were going to work out. I mean, my fucking soundboard is not working. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with my soundboard. I don't know if it's because I have an adapter to like a converter to convert the European plug over to an American plug. But I plug in the soundboard and nothing. It won't even turn on. So like little things like that I did not anticipate. Like just little things. And I mean, I always have a plan B and a plan C and shit like that. But the reality, and I feel like I said this last week too. But the reality is that things are not always going to work out the way that you thought that they were going to work out. Sometimes you plan for things and then something the fuck else decides that it's gonna happen. Life has a way of doing whatever the fuck it wants to do, right? And so I think the lesson that I have been reminded of, because it is a lesson that I know, and I have known for quite some time now, I feel like I am definitely being reminded of this lesson, is that you can't take it personal. You know, you just can't. You cannot take those things personally. You know, it's easy for us to take things personally because when, our viewpoint or our perspective is based on our experiences, right? And that is a personal experience, okay? And so when we are taking things, when we are experiencing things, we experience them in the first person from our own point of view. And so when things don't work out the way that we thought they were going to work out, or when finances don't, act right, when your money not acting right, or your plans don't work out the way you thought they were going to work out, your children not listening, right? They not doing whatever it is you told them to do, or they doing shit that you told them not to do. You know how kids is, you know what I'm saying? When the people at work not showing you empathy, or them people at work getting on your motherfucking nerves, shit like that. Like when life happens, right? Because that's really what it is. At the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's life happening. And the reality though is that life happens on a very regular and consistent basis. And you cannot take it personally. You can't. Because your job is to figure that shit out. And that's all it is. Allow yourself to process it. Allow yourself to heal from it. Allow yourself to grieve it, to cry about it, to lay in the bed for a couple hours if that's what you need to do. Express that emotion, get that emotion out of there, and then get the fuck up and do what needs to be done. And that's kind of where I find myself right now, you know. I'm getting the fuck up and I'm figuring it out. Yeah, I feel like for the last 3 weeks, I have been very hard on myself, and I've been feeling really down. Y'all know I talk to y'all all the time. I share with you all how hard I am on myself. Sometimes I have very high expectations for myself, and that is an internal battle that I have. And every day is a journey to try to overcome that, within myself. And so, the last 3 weeks have been extremely difficult for me because I had such high hopes, and then to come here and not have those things pan out the way that I thought that they were going to pan out, or to have these barriers in place, and then some other shit popped up that, that really, was completely out of nowhere, like shit that I hadn't even considered. And so it was like I've been really hard on myself the last couple of weeks, and feeling very much defeated. And I was taking it personal. I was. I was taking it personally because I should have planned for this. I should have known that. I should have anticipated that this was going to happen, right? It's a possibility that the Wi-Fi might suck. That's a possibility no matter where you go. Why didn't I even consider that? How the fuck you running an online business, girl, and you don't consider that the Wi-Fi might not be good? Little shit like that. Like, I was taking it very, very personally. And if you listen to last week's episode from the live recording of at a Pod Connection, we talk about, overcoming your 30-something crisis. And I said in that episode, we talked about how sometimes we take things on, or we take things personally that have no place. Like, we internalize things that we have no business internalizing, right? There's blocks and then there's obstacles. Blocks originate within you, and obstacles originate outside of you. Obstacles not necessarily outside of your control, but they ain't got shit to do with who you are as a person. It's a deficit of some kind. External. Right? And the fact that this Wi-Fi was not working, girl, that is an external block. I mean, an external obstacle, rather. Right? That's external. That ain't got shit to do with who I am as a person. But I equated that to some type of deficit of myself, of my character, of who I am. And it's just not fair. I always use the analogy that I think that people walk around in a bubble. You ever seen that movie, The Bubble Boy? I love that movie, Bubble Boy. Where the little boy, he has like some kind of rare, I don't know, like a rare autoimmune disorder or something like that. And so his mother kept him inside of a sterile room his entire life. He never got to go outside and play with people. He never got to, do anything like that. And then he meets this girl, the neighbor. It's always a girl, what I'm saying? So he meets this girl, and he wants to get to know this girl more and shit like that. And so he gets inside. He has this little bubble suit that he can, like, it has legs and it has feet and shit, and he can walk around, in his little bubble, where the inside of the bubble is still sterilized and safe for him, right? And it's filled with only his air, his germs, and it protects him from the outside world. So imagine that, right? Imagine that people are walking around in this huge bubble, right? With arms and legs, in this huge bubble, completely insulated and protected from the outside world. And the only things that they know and understand and can see are the things that exist inside of their bubble. It's the only world that they know is life inside of that bubble. That's how we walk around, in this invisible bubble. And we have arms and legs on this bubble, so we're able to interact with each other. We're able to touch things and interact with things, but we don't really allow ourselves to feel those things because we're doing it with gloves on. You know what I'm saying? People live in their own bubbles. And sometimes while we're inside of our own bubble and we're dealing with the things that are inside of our own bubble, we don't realize the effect that what happens inside of our bubble, or whatever we're doing, interacting with other people, we don't realize the effect that has on people's lives. And we don't realize on the receiving end, we don't realize that it's not about us. It's about whatever they got going on inside of their bubble. Does that make sense for you? Are you able to follow that? It's not about you, right? And right now I'm specifically talking about interactions with other people. You know, it's not always about you. Now, sometimes it is about you. Sometimes you need to get your shit together. And we talked about that last week as well. Sometimes you need to look inside. For sure. I definitely had to do that. But there's also times when it's not your thing to carry. It's not your thing to deal with. It's somebody else's thing. It's theirs. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. You know? And I think I was reminded of that this week. I was. Well, since I got to Germany the last 3 weeks or so. And I'm finally starting to kind of like come out of that, you know? That it's not about me all the time. And sometimes it's just about people being in their own bubble, or it's about obstacles that I'm facing that I need to figure out a remedy to, that it's about, life, doing what the fuck life does, which is happening. Life happens every single day. And as human beings, it is our responsibility to figure that shit out. That's it. That's how we survive. Human beings have lived this long because we learned how to figure shit out. That is the ultimate survival tactic, is figuring shit out. And the only way for you to figure that shit out is to not take it personal. You can't. Because when you take it personal, your emotions are involved. And when your emotions are involved, it is virtually impossible for you to be logical. And figuring shit out requires you to be logical. Okay? So, like I said, I don't know, that was on my heart. That was on my heart, and I wanted to share that with y'all because I know that it's the end of the year. It's the third quarter, and we are assessing. I'm actually working on a program right now with the Frugal Credit Nista to do a little program for her Wealth Creators Academy. Credit on Fire Wealth Creators, I think it's called, Academy. And, we're talking about, reflecting on, the last year, relieving ourselves of certain things and then refocusing for 2019. And I'm really excited about that. And that's going to require us to clear out some things. A lot of things are going to be coming up for us over the next 3 months or so, even a little bit after the new year, because everybody is gearing up for a fresh start and things like that. People always wait until the new year to fresh start, which is fine. I ain't knocking it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't knocking it. But that means that we tend to be really critical of ourselves. And so I want you to make sure that as you are assessing where you are and what you're doing and what you have done, that you're not taking that shit personal. You need to be able to give it a good look, like really dig in and understand it and look at it and be realistic and be honest, but also, have some empathy for yourself. Don't take that shit personal. Don't take it personal because you can't fix it if you're all up in your feelings about it. Yeah. All right, so that's it. That's all I wanted to talk to y'all about today. Coming up next is High Five. All right, so as you all know, last week were the midterm elections all across America. And so, things didn't go exactly the way that we would have liked for them to go, but there were still a lot of things that went pretty fucking well, you know? So I just want to give a high five first and foremost to everybody who got out there and voted, who exercised your right to vote, you know, and just made sure that your voice was heard. I also want to give a high five to the record number of women, specifically women of color, who were elected into office. You know, this was a record breaking year for sure. I mean, I'm not going to go down the whole list because I feel like at this point, you've heard the entire list multiple times. And so I don't really think that, you know, I just don't want to go through the entire list. But I want to give an extra special high five to the 19 Black women that were elected in Houston, Texas, to judgeships in Houston, Texas. Like, that is fucking amazing. Like, for real, for real. And so I just want to say high five to all of the courageous women who ran, those who won, those who didn't win. But then also an extra special high five, high 10, if we're going to do it like that. Let's just do a high 10 or whatever to all of the women who won and changing up, you know, let's change this shit up, you know, do something different. I'm so happy that even though we didn't, you know, like win in Georgia or like in Florida and stuff like that, there was some change that took place, you know, and that's always a good thing. So high five to all of those women. Every woman that won, ran and won an election, and even those who didn't win, just for shaking shit up and putting it on somebody's mind. You know what I'm saying? So that's it for high five. For today's reality check, I just want to kind of, I think, drop a little something in your mind. You know, I was talking with somebody the other day, and talking about some of my own personal life experiences, but then also, you know, this young lady that I'm kind of mentoring right now and helping her out. And she's having a really difficult time right now with her family. And, you know, I think as I was thinking about her situation and then thinking about my own experiences, it made me just, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but it made me want to just say something about, you know, the Black family and what that dynamic looks like a lot of times. When somebody in the family doesn't necessarily fit the mold, or when somebody in the family doesn't necessarily fit in, per se, quote unquote, with whatever the ideal is for that family, or what the family thinks that you should be doing and shit like that. You know, I think that you know, I love Black people and I love Black families. And, you know, it's very disheartening to me to hear stories from people of not fitting in, to hear stories from people of being in this really weird place because they know that their family loves them, but they don't feel loved, you know? That's a difficult place to be in. And as a therapist, I find myself working with people who find themselves in that place often. And so, you know, of course, you know, there's always something to be said for self-love and all of that good shit, you know, but at the end of the day, people want to be loved by their family members. They want to be accepted as human beings. We want to feel connected to the people that share bloodline with us, you know? And so for somebody to go through their life and not feel like they are accepted for one reason or another, I think is sad, you know? It really is. It's sad. And if you've never found yourself in that place, and it might be hard for you to understand what that actually feels like. But today's reality check, I think, is for all of us to pay attention to how you treat your loved ones. Pay attention to how you interact with your loved ones. If you have a loved one that has stopped speaking to you, if you have a loved one that just stopped fucking with you altogether, then maybe it's not them, you know? Like maybe you need to take a step back and take a look at how you've treated that person over the years. And speak for myself as well. I'm always looking at how I interact with people and how, like if I was justified in this or justified in that, but not just justified in terms of my own personal justification, but justified in terms of like, was that shit fucked up or not? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like for real, for real. And so I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't write a script out for today. I'm really just kind of talking from my heart today. And I just want y'all to, you know, really think about what you're saying to your family members. Think about the image that you are giving them of who they are, and are you making them feel accepted? Do you make it clear that you love them and that you accept them no matter what they look like, no matter what they choose to do with, in terms of their profession, no matter who they choose to date, who they fall in love with, who they have sex with? Like, are you making sure that your family member knows and understands that your love for them is unconditional? Which honestly, that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. I don't really believe in like unconditional love, not in the way that we use it traditionally. But do they know that you are there for them and that you love them and that you have their back? You might not agree with whatever it is that they're doing, but that's okay because they're still your family and they're still worthwhile. They're worth your time, they're worth your effort. Are you making sure that the people you say you love know that you love them? You know? I know that's deep, but I don't know. I'll be saying some deep shit sometime. That's where I be at. That's where I be at. And that's where I am right now. It's been on my mind, and I just wanted to say that, you know? And that's it. That's today's show. That's all I got for y'all today. I just want to give a shout out to everybody who downloaded last week's episode and listened to last week's episode. Thank y'all for that. Make sure you share, comment, rate, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Use the hashtag Unicorns Talk Pod. And follow me on all the social medias at Unicorns Talk Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Okay? All right. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. And until next time, be well. Bye, y'all.